Hello, my friends. Welcome to a Strategy with Meg episode. I haven't done one of these in a few weeks, so I'm excited to dive in. Today is going to be a launch debrief. I wrapped up my SOSA launch a few weeks ago. We closed on Tuesday, April 26th, I want to say. All the days we've been so busy since, so many things are blurring together. But we were open on the 18th to the 25th, 18th to the 25th. So we closed on the 25th. And since then, man, I had a VIP day on the 28th that I was prepping for. And then my husband and I went on a couples retreat and we left on May 3rd and just got back on the 8th. So it has been wild. I feel like post-launch was just client work and then escape and go to this couples retreat. And it was amazing. I just did a heart-to-heart episode. So if you go to the episode right before this one, it's in depth about that retreat, how amazing it was, everything that we learned, and so much. Like it was, I can't even talk enough about it. Like I had a whole podcast episode and I could talk about it more. So definitely go check that out if you're interested. But it's been a whirlwind and I'm finally like settling back and I'm like, okay, getting back to like regularly posting and all that jazz and what's next, what are our next goals. But I'm so glad we did that right after because it forced me to unplug. I was still like sharing things, but it forced me to really just be present with my husband and have this focused time and celebrate and do something for us. And it really was like a celebration that we booked months in advance, knowing that we'd want to do this post-launch. And it was amazing. So that's first tip is book some kind of celebration. It doesn't have to be a trip. It doesn't have to be anything lavish. It could be a manicure, pedicure, massage, anything that just treats you like, hey, you just did a hard thing. Whether your launch ended the way you wanted it to or not, you did a hard thing. So this launch was pretty amazing in so many ways. And how I want to structure this is I'm going to be really transparent. I'm going to share numbers and I'm going to share what went really well, like what I think we did really, really well. And then where I could have done better, like things that I don't even say went bad or that I made mistakes on. And sure, some of them were, but just what we could have done a little bit better. Some things that I'm like, Megan, you know better. So we'll dive in. So first, the launch totals, we had 18 new members join. And during this same promo period, I had 4 high ticket clients sign up. And so my launch total, I have numbers here, was 78,446. I'll be super transparent. My low goal for this was 90. So when I look at it from that avenue, I was like, man, and I always count launch goals as any extra income that comes through during that time because of how present I am, right? That doesn't count. Like I had a one-on-one re-sign in Painful. I had mastermind clients. I had old payments coming through. So that doesn't count any of that. This is like new income created because of the launch, right? That's what I always count because I always have new clients coming through that aren't even for this program, but for different ones. I had 2 in-person VIP days come through, 1 virtual and another SOSA / one-on-one upgrade. So like she's in SOSA, but also doing some one-on-one. And so there were these amazing 4 people that came through and during this time, and I had a one-on-one re-sign, like I said, in Painful. So it was one of our best months we've had in so long. Like it was one of the highest cash months we've had in years, probably. And man, was it so different than the last month that had this same amount of money. And I made a post about this, but the reason it was so different was back in the day when I had these kinds of high cash months, which I don't have my exact numbers back by the time I'm reading this, but it's close to 90,000 cash for the month. It's a lot of like everyone paid in full for the high ticket coaching. And I had a lot of like, I think we had 10 people paying full out of the 18 for the program. So it was one of my higher cash months I've had in a long time. And when I looked back to the time that I had that high cash month, the way I had to serve was so wildly different. So back in the day, my business model was very much hands-on live coaching me all the time. And so I had plenty of high cash months like that. Like literally I had so many, but every single one required so much of me. All of my programs were either my mastermind. I had 2 masterminds and it was every month I had private client calls with the mastermind clients and private one-on-one Voxer. I was literally in Voxer 3+ hours a day easily. I had like 6 or 7 one-on-one clients at that time too, that a lot of them had weekly calls at the time. And then I had a group program, which I was coaching in every single week. So how it's different now It's my group program. I do 2 calls a month. My co-coaches each do 2. So we have 6 calls a month. I do Slack. We check Slack pretty much every day in the beginning, and then we rotate, and we do like me and the coaches rotate days that we check it. And so that feels so get life-giving. Like the students are getting so much support and love, but I have these incredible co-coaches who are running the program with me. So it's not just me, and it's group coaching. My mastermind we have quarterly one-on-one calls that I do with them, and the rest are group calls. And it's a group Voxer, not one-on-one. So it's truly for people who are like bosses and they're ready to expand, and they don't just need one-on-one and me to tell them what to do. They're collaborative. They're supporting each other. It's so incredible. I adore this mastermind. We're going to be going into launch next month for that, and we'll be opening up spots. So I'll make sure I put the mastermind wait list in the chat, because we don't have a ton of spots. We'll probably have 5 spots available. And I have a bunch of people I'm talking to. So if you are interested in joining this mastermind, it's a year long. If you're at that stage where you're making well over 5K a month consistently, you're ready to expand, you're ready to grow, you want to be around collaborative women who will support you and stretch you and challenge you in so many amazing ways, make you think outside the box. Masterminds are so special. So definitely check that out in the show notes. But that, so different, I don't do I don't do monthly one-on-one and one-on-one Voxer. I'd say the biggest difference is the amount of time I spend in Voxer, and on calls. And then also when I look at what went into each launch, I was literally doing so many calls for clients and prepping all this kind of content while I was making that money. Now I had a ton of content to create because I'm also redoing some of the curriculum. So I'm actively redoing that even now. And that's a lot for sure. But when I look at the time I spent working on that versus client work, it was like 75% of my time was spent on creation. And I love that. And 25% on client work. Whereas last time it was like flip-flopped. And I love my clients and I love coaching, but after, so many hours, it's draining. It's really, really hard to stay that present. So it is just so wild how different of a structure my business is to make that same amount. It's wildly different and it feels really, really good. It's the difference I wanted to make. It's just shows like all the years of doing all these changes and making these changes and taking a step back and sacrificing my ego and putting my ego to the side and having many, many ego deaths. Man, was it worth it? At the end of the day, I'm doing this for my family and me. I'm not doing this to impress Instagram. Have I had bigger launches than this? Yeah, I have. This is not my biggest launch. It wasn't my best launch numbers wise, but man, was it my best launch in so many other ways, in the amount of time that I worked, in the amount of time I actually did client facing work, in the actual delivery I have to do for the offer, right? So much, even the high ticket clients that came through, they're all one-off clients. I love these kinds of clients. I love these VIP days. I love these one-off, let's get it done. Let's super hyper focus. And then you can go run and expand on your own. It's beautiful and I adore it. And every single thing I'm doing right now, I'm going, can I have a family with this? Can I have a family with this? And I very much can. So that was one thing. And I'm just really proud of it. I'm really proud of this launch. I think it's one of the best, if not the best launch I've ever done. I really, really do. I actually pretty confidently can say that. So anyway, let's dive into what I think we did really, really, really well. And then what I want to change moving forward. So some things that went really well, our email open rates were like 40%, almost the entire open cart, which is pretty freaking cool. And something that we did was we only sent emails to the most engaged people from the last few months. Whereas in the past, we would send emails to our entire list. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've worked with a funnel strategist who we did that. That's what the plan was. And it was fine and it worked and we signed many people. But I just think that sending it to the most engaged people felt really good. And meaning anyone who had opted into a freebie in the last 4 months or so, or were on the wait list, those are the people that I launched to, because everything I did the last, I guess not 4 months, I guess it was about 10 weeks, was geared towards this kind of client. So I didn't want to anger my whole list by emailing everyone when they're not interested in it. They would have raised their hand for one of those freebies that I did if they were. So that was one thing that was really cool. And the emails weren't just sales, but there was a lot of value. I was still sending out my Monday mashup email. I was still sending out my Friday emails. I was still posting or still doing my podcast episodes. So even if you weren't interested in the program, you still got so much value during that time. So that felt really, really good. I did a VIP upgrade training when I did my free training. So what I did for this is I had a masterclass. Well, I had a freebie that I launched that built my like a list builder. And then I did a masterclass that was free. It was called my Signature Framework Masterclass. So well received, like so well received. I think I probably should sell that separately because people just loved that. And it was really incredible. And then a 3-day storytelling, mastering sales through storytelling challenge. And for the challenge portion, it was free, but then I did a VIP upgrade. You could pay $97 for 3 Zoom group coaching calls. So after the live training, a couple hours later, I hosted a Zoom group coaching just for the VIP people. And I think we had about 10 people registered for that. And honestly, that helped pay for the ads. That almost paid for all of the ads. So that was really awesome because we didn't spend much on ads. We did 1,500 in, or paid for half the ads because we did 1,500 in ads for the first, like the pre-launch, and then 1,000 for the actual launch. So that was great. And we had a couple people from the VIP actually join the training because of the VIP. And how I hosted it was I emulated the group coaching. So how they really would experience the group coaching container is how I crafted the live calls, because I wanted them to get that experience. Like, this is what it's going to feel like when you're on a group call with us. So much so that I brought in my 2 co-coaches so that the VIP people could meet them, get to know them, like them, etc. So that was really, really great. I'm really glad I did that. And then the storytelling challenge topic, that was a slam dunk home run. Slam dunk home run. 2 sports analogies. I am not a sports person. Can you tell? It really, really was, though, the highest amount of opt-ins I've ever had for any challenge, and the highest engaged challenge I've ever had. Like, we had such high percentage of people join live on that first day. And even the other 2 days were pretty high. They weren't as high as the first. It never is, but man, it was wild. I was so nervous the first day. I was like, oh my gosh, we have so many people on live. And even my husband, he was on every day, taking questions, organizing the chat, keeping track of everything. He's like, wow, that was popping. Like, I could not keep up with all of that. It was so incredible. And I know it's because the topic was so like needed. People wanted it so well. And I think it was because I touched on, they want to master sales. They want to sell from their content, but they understand, people understand that they have to do storytelling, that storytelling will never die out, no matter what is going on with the algorithm. It's tried and true. People already understand that and grasp that. They get that. I didn't have to convince them. Now, I did still do a lot of educational content around why storytelling is so important. So that helped, but people ate it up. Like, they love that topic. And it was absolutely incredible. So slam dunk topic. And that's the thing, my friend, when you're doing some kind of free training, whether it's a challenge or a live series or a summit, whatever it is, the topic's got to be on point. That's a huge thing I focus on with a lot of my VIP day clients when we're mapping out their launch plans. I just had a call today with someone we mapped out her curriculum for her program. And in the next one, we're going to dive into her free event. And it's got to be it's got to be so on point for what the client actually wants. And it has to lead into your offer naturally. It's got to make sense, right? You've got to kind of take them on a journey and give them this win, this big check mark to them. They go, okay, now what's next? And I've been running these challenges since my Beachbody days. And I didn't do it very strategically then, but I remember I ran my first really, really strategic challenge back in 2018. No, I'm lying, 2017, when I had one-on-one coaching. I ran a free 5-day macro tracking and intermittent fasting challenge, and I signed 5 high-ticket clients from it. It was so good. I'm pretty much doing the same exact thing today. It's really not that different. It's the same structure. Some things are slightly different as far as like when I open cart, and we've just gotten more tech savvy and all that jazz and fancier as the years have gone on. But otherwise, it's the same structure and it works and it doesn't die out. Anyone who tells you challenges are dead are not doing them right. I'm just going to say it, because now another thing I wanted to share, I have my post-launch report from my amazing OBM, Claire. And right now when I'm looking at the spreadsheet, she did something really cool. Every single new SOSA student, she put where what they opted into across the board. And out of the 18, or no, I'm sorry, we signed 19 because one of my one-on-one hybrid clients is in SOSA technically. So we technically signed 19, but out of the 18, everyone except 1, 2, 3 were technically registered for the challenge. I'm looking right now. Yep. Every single one except 3. So yeah, the challenge converted. Let's just say that it converted really well. So that was one thing, but let's dive in a little bit more. Let me go back to my notes. Okay. So we left off there. The other thing that worked really well is I prepped a ton of content. I planned, I was able to really be in my creative zone because I wasn't creating the day of, and that's personal for me. If I'm forced to create the day of and I feel a lot of pressure and I got to get something out, I don't do really great work. So even if you like to do it in the moment, I personally recommend knowing what you're going to talk about that day. Have some semblance of a plan, because man, having this all ready to go, I barely created anything. I don't think I created anything the day of. Everything was ready to go. And so during launch, I was like chilling. I was like ready to have conversations. I was available for calls when people needed them. I was able to ask and answer a lot of questions. I engaged with a lot of people and I had lots and lots of questions, which was so great. So the content portion, man, I felt so rock solid the entire time. And that's, gosh, the thing with content, I think people get so bogged down by it. And I get it, because it can be very confusing what to put out when and how much to give away and all of that. But your content equals your sales when you're using social media. If you're using social, like that's what is going to equal your sales. So I am working right now on a downsell for you. That's going to basically be the content module from my program. And I'm going to sell it as a course. It's freaking amazing. Let me just tell you, it's so good. And one of the reasons is when I look back, I'm like, why did we have this success? Why did we have this 78K launch? It was because of my content. So I want to give that to the people who weren't able to join SOSA. I'm going to sell it. And it's going to be at a really, really, really good price. So stay tuned for that. I'll have deets coming very soon. And I'll probably have like a wait list or something like that as well. But that was so, so great. And I just felt really confident with our content. Another thing we did was we opened up 20-minute discovery calls if needed. It's a $3,000 program. I'm very open about the price. I have the price on the page, all of that. Well, technically it's $3,497, but it was a $500 discount for this first round of the year. And that felt really, really good. And I did a couple calls. I think I did 6 calls out of the 6, 4 people did join. And the thing I like about those calls is they know the price going in. So it's just really answering questions, making them feel confident, making sure it's a good fit. So that was really great. And then the last 48 hours is when we had pretty much half the people sign up in the last 48 hours. It was like 10 people right away on day one, 10, literally day one. And then crickets, 1. And then 7 people came through on the last 48 hours. And I was like, where is everyone? What's happening? And this is just every single launch I do, this happens. Every single launch I do, this happens, where people are, where I'm freaking out because in the middle, it's so slow and you're like, what's happening? And I know people sign up at the end. Every single launch I have, almost half sign up the last day without fail. I'm like, why am I know this. I coach on this. I teach this. I have a course on this. Like, this launch life cycle. What's wrong with you? But you still kind of freak yourself out. So that's just a reminder, my friend, that everyone does this, no matter how long they've been at it. And pretty much everyone I know no matter how well their launches go, have that happen. In fact, one of my really good friends who's very successful entrepreneur, oh my gosh, like I don't think this girl's had less than 100K cash month in years, like so successful. One of my best friends, we were launching at the same time. Totally different program, but we were both experiencing the same exact thing. Slew of people right away, very, very, very slow. And then at the end, and we were both like, where's everyone? What's happening? Why is it so slow? That's just what happens. It's what happens pretty much every time. So the last 48 hours, I did drop an extended payment plan, which a couple people did take me up on, which was really helpful for them. And then emails. Someone signed up in the last minute because of our 2-hour, we close in 2 hours email. And she goes, that email got me. I was like, I've been seeing them come through and I haven't been opening any emails, but I've been seeing the subject line. And I think she was following me on Instagram too. And then I saw the 2-hour email come through. I opened it and I was like, oh, okay. I think I need to do this. She DM'd me quick on Instagram and then she signed up. So yes, emails work, my friend. They work. And the ones near the end, especially, you got to stay strong till the end. I'm really glad I did. Another thing I think did really well was having daily prizes. So we had prizes, incentives for people to come live to each day of my 3-day challenge. And I'm talking really good prizes. Like day 1 was a copy sales page template and review of your sales page template from a copywriter, Brittany Herzberg. And it was amazing. Like, she's such a pro at what she does. And then the second day was a branded images for your Instagram feed and your story from Jasmine from High Flyer Powerhouse, the design company I work with, who designed the beautiful sales page. And then the last day was a legal one-on-one coaching contract from Coaches and Company, which is usually $397. We partner with them, we're an affiliate with them, and they did the legal lesson that it now lives inside of our SOSA program. So it was like things people need. They need contracts, they need design, and they need copy for their sales page. So it was these prizes were so good and people were so excited that they stayed on. So that really helped the engagement of the actual live trainings. And you want your people to stay on live as long as possible. Another thing that I think worked well, but was a little confusing, was we had teams for our challenge. So we split everyone up into 2 teams and they would compete to get a bonus training that I did. And I liked it, but I also think it was a little confusing for some people because they couldn't find their team name. We had it in all these emails, but for some reason it was still really hard for people to find it. So I'm kind of iffy on that one. I don't know if I would do that again. I'm not sure. But during this time, like I said, we brought in 4 high-level clients because of how intentional we were and present with our content. Remember, money comes in expected and unexpected ways. Every time I launch, I bring in new clients outside of the program that I was launching. And this came in the form of 1 virtual VIP day, 2 in-person VIP days, and then a SOSA / one-on-one intensive. And I'm talking to a couple of people right now about intensive. So launching is the gift that keeps on giving, because you're so intentional with your content, if you are, that you're just showing up with such, again, intentionality and purpose, and you're showing your expertise, you're showing your authority, you're showing people you can help them. And even if they're not the exact right fit, they're gonna be like, wow, this person knows what they're doing and I love how they're showing up. I want help. Happens so often. I cannot tell you how often it happens. Every single time I launch, this happens. So that was really amazing and incredible and very, very exciting. And I've loved every single person I've gotten to work with. And I have my second VIP day in person at the end of this month. So I'm really excited. So another thing we did that I think was helpful is we did collaborations with some other people. So I actually did a podcast tour before the launch to get more exposure. I was on like 15 to 20 podcasts, which was amazing. I had such incredible podcast interviews. And so I was able to be exposed to all these new audiences. And then I also had a few accounts share the challenge with their audience and do IG takeovers with me, which was wonderful. Something we do want to eventually get into, it's just a little daunting, so we did not do it this time, is really running a true affiliate launch. Really structured, where the affiliates actually launch with you. They treat it like their own launch, right? And that's something I definitely want to do in the future. And then instead of doing Facebook Lives, this is the first time I did it this way. So anytime I've done a workshop or a masterclass, a one-off, right? Just a one-off hour and a half, it's always been on Zoom. But for my challenges, I've always hosted inside the Facebook group, and I've just done Facebook Lives, and then they post their homework in the challenge. This time I hosted the lives on Zoom instead of doing it in the Facebook group. And that was hands down an amazing decision. And I'm so glad I did that. So much more engagement. Like I told you, the most engagement we've ever had, like number of signups versus number of live attendees, very high percentage. It was incredible. Actually, I can get the exact percentage for you. Let me see if I can do this math. Divided by, I think it was like over 30%. And we had high numbers. We had over 600 people register for this challenge. I mean, high numbers for me. I loved it. I thought it was great. And we had so many people. We almost had 200 people on the first day. And so that, I think, is largely due in part to having an ad event. So people can add the, right after they opt in, they can add the event to their calendar. I've been doing that for a few years now. And it's always I forgot how I first learned it. This was years ago. I don't remember when I first learned about ad event, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is genius. And they can add it right to their calendar. So that really helped, as well as the nurture sequence, the reminder emails, all of that, things that we've been doing for a long time. But I really think it was the Zoom aspect that made such a big difference. So that was amazing. And then also just having my husband on helping me, organizing all the questions so at the end I could really, breeze through and answer them confidently. And then what could we have done better, or semi mistakes we made, if you will? So this is a pretty short list, and I'm really, really happy about that. And before I go into this, I'll say something that kept coming up. I had multiple clients say to me, Meg, this is the best launch you've ever done. Like, I'm watching you like a hawk, and I want to join this program. And I know it's not for me because I'm already in your higher level program, or I'm already a one-on-one or whatever. They're like, I just am so amazed at how you're showing up. Like I can't wait to you to teach me how to do this. You know what I mean? And it was just so nice because I felt that. Like, and that's what you want, right? You want to know you did everything you could. And there's so many things out of your control. And so I will go into what was out of our control too, but what could I have done better, or mini mistakes that we made? I feel like I had one too many things to opt into before the challenge. So I had like right before the challenge, I had a wait list for the program. I had the challenge, and then I had the VIP version. So some people were on all three. It was a lot to juggle and a little bit too many free trainings. So what I did as an incentive for people to join the waitlist was I said, if you join the waitlist, you're going to get 2 bonus free trainings during this time period. And that was totally free, and they didn't have to buy anything. They just had to be on the waitlist. And so they join the waitlist. I do these free trainings, and then they're getting pitched the free challenge. And then they're also getting pitched the VIP, which does cost money. It was just so many little things that I felt a little confused. I wasn't like overwhelmed because I had the space and the time. I had barely any client calls in April, like very, very, very little client work in April, on purpose too, so that I could have this. But again, a few years ago, never would have been able to do that because I had too many clients. So again, it was such a cool realization. So I had a lot of space to do it, but I wouldn't do it like that again. I wouldn't have those free trainings for the wait list. I probably also wouldn't promote the wait list right around the same time I was promoting the challenge and the VIP. I think it was a little too confusing. So that was something that I want to tighten up for next time. This is the biggest mistake I made. And it's so funny because, man, I know some of you are going to laugh right now because you can teach something so well and tell people till you're blue in the face not to do something, and then you do it. My friend, I literally have a launch course. This is mainly what people hire me for my VIP days. I don't like market myself as a launch expert, but I'm very good at it, and I've been doing it for years. And the number one thing I will tell people when they're setting up their challenges and they're setting up their free events and all of that is make sure you don't overwhelm your audience. And there's a difference between giving away too much and overwhelming. I guess someone could say it's the same thing, but I believe in giving some of your best stuff away. It's always served me. I've always had clients, like the best clients, sign up when I give my best stuff away. So I don't believe that necessarily. I mean, not like your best, like you got to keep obviously your really secret methods for your programs, but I mean like some really good stuff. It's more so the overwhelm and complication. And so I went really all in on this challenge. Like, so countless people, I have so many screenshots of people going, I cannot believe this is free. Like I would have paid $500 for this. I would have paid $1,000 for this. Like this is better than any paid thing I've had. I can't believe this is free, which feels amazing to hear. I felt so proud of that because I really want people to come to my trainings knowing Megan is going to show up when she does a training. You better believe it's going to be epic. It's why I don't do them all the time, right? I don't run free trainings every single month because when I do, I go all in. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to prepare for those things. And I want to be known as that. And I know I am. I know people are like, I think that's why this one was so highly opted in. It's like, let's freaking go. This is going to be incredible. And it was, but I think I gave a little bit too much. I think I went a little bit too in depth and I overcomplicated the homework. When I look back, especially day one, I had like 3 things for them to do. I should have given them one very simple thing to do. And, part of me is like, man, I wanted to give them all of it. I wanted them to like really get to know one of the lessons inside the program, or it's really a 3-part lesson because it's a 3-part training inside the program. But when I actually look back, I'm like, yep, I gave too much. I definitely gave too much to the point where people were taking so much time to go through it and taking time to go through the homework. We had many more people submit homework in past challenges because it just was a little bit more complicated. Writing your story, it takes time and energy and effort and a lot of emotionality too. And so that's the biggest thing I would change for next time is I'll probably still run a similar title, but I'd change slightly the days and I'd change the homework to be a little bit more bite-sized and digestible. And because there were so many people who were like, I've got to go through this. I've got to finish this before I can even consider anything else. Again, the cardinal mistake. And even with that cardinal mistake, I still had those 19 people join. So I just want to show you that like you can make some mistakes throughout your launch, some ones that you want to hit yourself for because you're like, I know better than this, but people are going to be like, wow, this was so incredible. I can't wait to see what's in the program. I got to do this. Right? So I really just want to kind of reiterate that to you. Like, don't get down on yourself. There was a second where after day one, I was like, man, think I gave too much. And I was like, shit, damn it. I do this sometimes. And so that is something personally I'm always working on. I'm always working on, and it's really hard for me. It's the hardest thing for me. It's like less is more, Megan. But I learned a lot during that, and I'm so proud of it though. And the storytelling challenge was so incredible. And yes, the content course that I am going to be launching has the entire challenge, because the challenge is not available right now, but it will be part of that course. So that was the biggest thing. And then lastly, for mistakes, is we didn't use our Facebook group for the challenge homework. We only used it if you wanted to just submit questions. So it wasn't very engaged during it. We had them email our homework. I would do it back to what I used to do, which is where they could comment in the Facebook group with their homework, way more engaged when they had to do that, because that's how they got like their points to win prizes and things like that. And for some reason, we didn't get as many emails as I thought we would. We had plenty of people submit, but I know it would have been way more submissions if it was in the Facebook group, and there would have been a lot of community and talking and all of that. So those were two really big things there that I would change. And the other thing I would change that I actually learned I learned it in a recent mastermind training that I attended for the mastermind I'm in. We had a guest expert. But I actually heard this before. So it wasn't the first time I heard it. I actually had a client do this, and I was like, this is genius. But hearing it again, I was like, oh yeah, I got to do that. Is instead of having just a free Facebook group, they have a free separate Instagram account for the challenge only. And you can make it private if your topic is really sensitive. The beautiful thing about a Facebook group is it's closed just to those members. So people feel a little bit more open and vulnerable, and they're willing to like share honestly. Whereas in a public account, just under an Instagram account or an Instagram post, they're like a little bit more nervous. So if it's a private page that only they can comment on, you could do that. I probably would make my page public because the topic of business isn't as vulnerable. So it's something that I think if people found it, I want them to see it. So I would host the videos still on Zoom, but the homework post would be on Instagram. So next time I run it, I'm probably going to host an separate Instagram where people could submit their homework and things like that. So, and in the Facebook group too, I'll probably do both at the same time. And it's like, pick your poison wherever you want to go. So those are some things that we would change. So a couple of things that were just out of our control, not many. It was really just honestly the economy and the price of the program. I did a lot of price objection handling, and extended payment plan did help. And I just want you to remember there's so many things like that are out of your control. And I know it's a tough time for a lot of people. And I had I have objection handling and all that jazz, but at the end of the day, I know my content handled those objections, and I didn't need to do too much of that behind the scenes. It's one thing I was really intentional about with my content, was making sure I addressed those objections early on. And it's something that is just a matter of fact right now. That's one reason I'm so excited for this downsell, because it's going to be such an accessible price, and it's such an incredible part of the program that's really going to help you move forward. So that was something that also sparked the idea for the downsell. Next time, I'm possibly going to do the same topic. Like I said, storytelling challenge, but less and super simple homework. So it's a little bit more digestible and actionable for people. I think it's going to help them even more, actually. And that's the thing I wanted to just you to remember, is it's not just less is more so people convert or any of that. It's so that they do the work. When people are overwhelmed, they just get paralyzed and they don't do the work. I want people to do the work. And so I was like, man, I sometimes think that I'm over delivering, and I am, but I'm also overwhelming in a way that they're not going to actually implement. And that's not good. Right now, I had plenty of people go, oh my gosh, I'm already signing clients from this. Like I had quite a few, actually. I have some really great screenshots for the next time, ready to go in an album already. And it's like, this reel is going viral. I had a couple of people who had reels go viral from their storytelling posts that I helped help them craft in the challenge. And it's pretty amazing. So I know it definitely over delivered in many ways, but again, kind of overwhelmed. So simpler homework, possibly doing a summit instead of a challenge next time, maybe having some collaborators come in too. And if I do a challenge, like I said, have the homework be submitted through Instagram post and or Facebook thread, and not just emailed to me, and not just in a Facebook group. So those are a couple things that I would definitely change for next time. So overall, like I said, I think it was probably the best launch I've ever done, as far as how I showed up and how proud I am of the content and how much fun I have with the content. I got really creative with it. And especially with just this year is tough, and talking to my OBM too, and just seeing what's going on in the industry. I'm really proud of those numbers. I'm really, really proud of the clients that we have in this program and the clients that I get to work with privately that came through. Like, every person is just so incredible. It's really, they're just good people, really good people who are ready to freaking work. And that feels really, really good. And so I'm really happy. It was awesome. And I definitely took a little break right after. Oh, I say I take a break, and then I had a VIP day. But this retreat was a really nice break. Even though we did a lot of work and intensive work, it was like so filling. And I feel really I feel like I've had this bounce back. I really do. Like, I feel that the last 2 years have been me kind of flailing around. And even if it didn't look like that to other people, because I still am very consistent and I present myself in a way that I can help people and I know what I'm doing and all of that, of course. But there's so many moments that I was like, man, is this make sense? Am I doing? Because I was changing course and I was pivoting and I was trying things out and I was throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what stuck, and doing all those things. And when you do that kind of stuff, you're bound to have some stuff work and some stuff not, right? It's just going to happen. And it can really take a toll if you've had a lot of success and pretty much everything has been a success, right? And that really was what I did. But when I had to change stuff around, I was like, I got to experiment. I got to see what works. I got to see what sticks. And that kind of was the last 2 years. And so this feels like that comeback year. I feel like, especially with this launch and how I've showed up and how I've really presented myself and put myself forward, I feel really good about it. And I feel like I'm showing up in such a new level in a new way. And I'm really ready for this momentum to keep going and have us go throughout the rest of the year. We've got some things coming up. We got that downsell coming up for the content course, which I'm so pumped about. It's gonna be so incredible. And then we'll definitely put it into a funnel. It'll be a higher price. So this will definitely be the cheapest it's ever going to be. It's going to be very, very accessible. Let's just put it that way. And then I'll have spots open for my mastermind. I might run this behind the scenes summer program called the Bounce Back for people who do feel like they've had a lot of success and then had a really tough year or 2 years and really want to have their bounce back. I haven't decided 100% on that. I don't want to do a full public launch for it because I don't like launching back to back anymore. And that's going to be, a couple things. The downsell mastermind doesn't feel like launching too much, but I don't want to have so much front facing selling content. I like to really give my audience a lot of time to nurture and just give value. So I want to do that most of the summer before we do our second SOSA launch in the fall. So yeah, that's what's happening for a while, at least now. And of course, I have VIP days and intensives and one-on-one spots open as I have them right now. I have a few open in each way. I have, I think, 4 VIP days in person available through September. Same for virtual. The VIP days are depending on location. So Vegas most of the summer and through September. Same with Southern California. And then I actually have a couple days in Tampa that I'm available. It's just 2 specific days. It's 26th and 27th of June. So if that is something that you're interested in, definitely message me and we can talk it through. And then I have intensives here and there available. So if you want to do some one-on-one coaching, you want some help, want some work, I don't talk about it a ton. I don't promote it a ton, but it is something that I do have available right now. And I'm loving doing. I especially love doing these one-off offers. They're really, really fun. I've done a bunch in the last week and it's just been so much fun. And I really like helping people just get that plan to run with it. So this launch was really, really fun. And I had a great time and I'm just so proud of it. And I want to thank everyone who's been involved in it. I had my amazing designer, our awesome copywriter, our designer, high flyer powerhouse, copywriter, Jess Haney, Claire, my amazing OBM, who just rocked every second of this launch. It was so incredible. Max, our amazing ads guy. Our co-coaches, Kelsey and Christina, who are absolutely incredible coaches and just show up with so much heart and love for this program. They truly love what they do. It's really beautiful to see. And so many other people, like I'm going to forget right now, but it took a village. Like, it's not just me doing all this stuff. And that's something I want to be really clear on, because when you see all the bells and whistles, all these little nitty gritty things, I'm not doing this by myself. I have people helping and oh my gosh, and my husband, he did so much. And so I never want you to think that this is just a one woman show, not by any means. So I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. I am really pumped for you to take some of this and let me know what you apply and what you actually take with you and what helps you. And again, if you want help, if you want to build your launch out in one day, that's what my VIP days are for. So you can just message me at Megan Yelaney on Instagram, the words VIP day, and I'll send you the application and we can go from there. But I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next episode.